welcome back to episode 77 of Relentless Talk Radio. I am here with Damiana Andonova. Am I saying it right?
Close enough. Damiana Andonova.
Damiana. You know what? And I tried to write it down beforehand because I have a name like Micalizzi, so it's tough, right? So yeah. Damiana Andonova, and you're Bulgarian.
Yes.
That's really awesome. I don't think I know any Bulgarian people. I think that's pretty cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, we have the same kind of coloring, right?
Huh?
We have the same kind of coloring.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell everybody who you are and what you do.
So I am a full-time healthcare strategy consultant, but I have been working on this startup for several years. Really, it started off in college. Called the Tutoring Made Personal. And it's really about recognizing that students and young professionals don't learn in a vacuum. We basically provide, we actually started off just tutoring young children, providing a holistic, contextual approach to tutoring that recognizes that students don't learn in a vacuum. And we've actually expanded, basically providing all sorts of academic support services. And we've recently started to do a lot of resume editing and resume help, as well as job coaching and interview coaching, and more recently salary negotiations. So we've really taken the whole adult journey from like helping 3-year-olds do an experiment in their backyard to now helping young adults with their first job search, and making sure that they're getting the salaries that they deserve and that they work hard for. So I really appreciated your earlier segment on Relentless Food for Thought. I thought a lot of the things you were saying were very in line with what we try to do, from the perspective of recognizing that, really taking social determinants of health and applying it in a school setting, understanding that, students need to learn in the context of what's happening in the world around them, and they need to be able to take charge and not stand in their own way and really achieve the success that they want and the way that they define success. And so, I love what you were saying about emotions, because emotions really are action signals. And when we work with students, we sometimes grapple with very difficult emotions from family, from teachers, from the student. We really involve ourselves in the student's life and try to help them navigate their emotions.
So important, because, and I don't think that I know for me in school, emotional intelligence in the younger years wasn't dealt with. And I think it's a really important thing to look at, because you really do need to be able to manage your emotions, especially once you get to college and your parents aren't there to buffer things. I remember being up late at night at a Dunkin' Donuts trying to study for a history class and just being like, and I think it's important to talk about all the emotions with kids.
Absolutely. Even the challenging ones, and especially with rising rates of suicide and depression in adolescents across the entire country, not just in isolated markets and communities. We really want to focus on helping that student realize their success and their development. The thing is, the point of education, I think, is to help equip people to do what they want to do and really write their own story and really be able to contribute in a meaningful way. And part of that is individuating and being taught that it's okay to be yourself, and really prizing that individual relationship and that individual experience. So absolutely, I agree with you that emotions are so critical, and we do find that students do grapple with a lot of different things, but also adults. Recently we've been helping, a lot of my peers, meaning people in their early to mid 20s, kind of deal with job searches for the first time or the second time, and it's really amazing to me when women, we're talking about women's empowerment, how many of them don't salary negotiate? How many of them don't realize how to sell their skill sets? It's just amazing to me, and we've
Well,
actually
I
had
think
a lot of.
we're so used to not asking for our worth. I just recently had a
Absolutely.
post on my personal profile, and it surprised me. It literally shocked me. I got over 450 comments on this post, and
Mm-hmm.
it was if you could go back and tell your 20-year-old self a piece of advice, what was the one piece of advice you would give? And I thought it was really interesting. And there was four really key components, and one of the first component was knowing your own worth.
Yes.
And I think that's um, I was just talking with Brenda Bentley. She's a school teacher, and she was talking about how as a school teacher, she's constantly saying, "Don't do this. Go here. Stand here. Be still. Shut up. Don't." You're constantly trying to control them to
Yeah.
keep them in space. And there's and I think we do when we're growing up, we're learning how to be controlled. But how to kind of balance that out with taking control of yourself is a
Right.
really interesting lesson to learn growing up. And I
Well,
think it's important. Oh, tell me, why is it that you do what you do? I mean, you're a young woman and you could be focusing on, you've got a great day job. I mean, why bother?
oh, so it's so hard to articulate that, and my quote unquote day job is really my life's work. I do think that I started off in healthcare. I really wanted to be a physician growing up, but I actually thought that being able to understand the bird's eye view of healthcare was really going to be the way that I'm going to be able to make the biggest impact in helping the underserved and really helping everyone. Um, in the way that I think is appropriate, which is very much like what Harvey Cushing, a physician back in the 1800s, talked about, really taking care of people in the context of their world. And so for my work as a healthcare strategy consultant, I really enjoy what I do, and I actually constantly am shifting between understanding what's happening in healthcare today,
Oh, I think your phone just rang.
what's happening at home. And I think my own journey as a student, as a first generation college student, as an immigrant, has really kind of colored a lot of my perspectives. And Tutoring Made Personal was really the brainchild of a bunch of ideas that I shared with many of my classmates at Brandeis University as an undergrad. And it was more of a proof of concept idea. Can we teach students, instead of the lecture hall, instead of in this very de-individualized way where we just treat them like a number and tell them what to do and teach them how to be controlled and replaceable, can we instead take this approach where we really value the individuality of people and their feelings and what's happening in the world, and really teach them and help them with their academic goals? So we're not interested in like helping them get the A. We're interested in helping them finish their dream, be able to say, I did that. And that might mean getting A's, and that might mean doing X, Y, and Z, but it's not about that. And we want to support that entire journey. And we wanted to just prove that it's possible to make a business out of that.
I just
um,
love that you're so passionate. It's an awesome thing. I've got a big smile on my face because I get accused of being passionate too. So it's a really good, cool thing to see a young woman who is so passionate. And you actually reached out to me on Facebook and said, "Hey, I want to get to know you." So I really appreciated that, and I appreciate you. What
yeah,
have you learned so far about being in business? What's your biggest lesson so far?
be in business. Oh my goodness. You have to be yourself. Being a leader, it means that you have to take responsibility for even things that you didn't do, because being a leader means that you're working with people toward a solution. It's never, oh, I did this. It's, I helped my clients do this. And that is how I think about business and success and moving forward. Absolutely.
That's really awesome that you have that feeling so soon in the game. Do you think that your peers that are, because you're not a millennial, you're a Z, right?
I am a millennial. I'm on the
You're
cusp of.
still a millennial.
Yes.
What's the cutoff for millennials?
What did you say? Oh, I'm not sure. I think right now the oldest millennials are probably in their early 30s.
And then it goes to into your 20s.
Probably. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's, I'm a Generation X person.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Which
I
is
think there's
different.
definitely things to be, one of the things that I've read a lot about millennials, and I know is true for the millennials that I know, is that you guys are really addicted to purpose.
Yes.
Like you just can't go to work every day and you know what? I couldn't either. So I think I'm actually in the inside really very much like you millennials. I have to have a reason to get out of bed in the morning. It can't just be to go in, do a job, come home, sit in front of the TV, eat dinner, go to bed. Like I have to be attached to something bigger than me, where I feel like I'm leaving a significant legacy and I'm making an impact. So I really love that I see that in you. So do you think that and I'm going to switch this question up a little bit because you kind of answered it a little bit before. I'm going to throw you a little curveball. Do you think that you are personally writing your own story as a young woman? Because I really see that in you. Are you consciously choosing to write your own story?
Absolutely. The funny thing is, growing up, I was trying to be just like everyone else. I was the cookie cutter student, quote unquote, and then I soon realized that there was just no point in doing that because it wasn't, it wasn't fitting into my big picture. And I remember I actually. I actually read Simon Sinek's book, Start with Why.
Oh my God, I saw him in person. He's fantastic. Have you ever seen? I saw him at ASU in person. Is he fantastic?
He is, and he went to Brandeis, so maybe
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. But I read his book, and at the same time, I remember I met a faculty member at Northwestern, and she said, "You are writing a resume, or you are working on a resume that you don't even know where it's going to take you. I know that you have that vision, and you're preparing for a job that probably doesn't exist." And I really revel in that because I think that helps me understand what I want to do with my life. The fact that it's okay to be different.
I really love Jennifer Parker Stevens, her Severs is coming on next. Okay, she's
And
most princess. She's saying that she loved Start with Why, and then she says she's read it 5 times.
Yes.
And you know what? I haven't read the book, but I have watched the TED Talk a bazillion times. Like whenever I get my panties in a twist over something, and I start to feel like, maybe this purpose thing is overrated. Maybe I should just go be a waitress. Or nothing wrong with being a waitress. And I'm not putting down, but something where I go in, I do a job, and I exit. Okay.
Right.
I think that people around me sometimes wish that I would do that because it's easier.
No, life is too short to have a quote unquote day job. You
Right.
have to do everything with purpose.
I think some of us are just wired that way, and we just can't. We can't, sign up for anything else, But whenever I've been in that place where I'm like, okay, what was I thinking? I'll go re-listen to the TED Talk. And in fact, if you go to Relentless Talk Radio, there is a playlist with my favorite TED Talks, and that TED Talk is there. I think he's a very powerful individual, and he's a great speaker. And I think he's another example of a human being who's writing his own story.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's absolutely true. So if people want to get a hold of you for tutoring made personal, they can work with you either on writing a resume or tutoring. And is there an age category for the people that you work with?
No, we actually work with like all ages. So as soon as they can talk to college grads and also older professionals who need help polishing their resumes. That's
really awesome. So tutoringmadepersonal.com is scrolling on the bottom of the screen right now. Mm-hmm. Damiana, I am super impressed with you. And I know that you and I are going to be long-term friends. I can't wait to see what you do with your concept. And I also am very interested in what you're doing with healthcare, because having worked in the healthcare field before, and we haven't had that conversation yet, I think that process and systems thinking for healthcare is really what's going to change what's going on for us as a society. I think the COVID, like the Google, I think COVID has really brought a light to the fact that we need to look at process and process improvement within the healthcare industry on a very deep level. And interestingly enough, Jennifer Severs also used to work in healthcare as well. I think that as we met actually when I was working with a company that was doing medical billing, and she was doing marketing for a practice. And so that's how we met, and we kind of dripped on each other until you know, we realized we were both bikers and that was it, end of story. So, so I really admire what you're doing. And will you do me a favor? Will you keep in touch with me and keep me posted on your progress? And let's make sure that I'd love for you to come to one of my hot tamale dinners. So I'm going to invite you to that. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
And I'd love for you to show up at some of the women's events that I'm doing, and generally some of the events that I'm doing. I'd love to see you again in person.
Yeah, absolutely. COVID is really changing everything and really bringing to light a lot of the social determinants of health, and that we really do need to work with patients and students in the context of their world. And it is, you know, it is interesting how everybody has, you know, a lot of different identities. Jennifer is the motorcycle princess, and she happens to work in healthcare. So everybody has multiple identities that they're juggling all the time, and that's just great in my opinion.
As you're talking, I'm thinking, people always say, Michelle, pick one thing. I go, you know what, I'm the one thing, and this is who I am. I'm an overeducated artist who believes in entrepreneurs and philanthropy, happens to make art, believes in fashion, and just was a personal trainer for 36 years. So, I mean, that's who I am. It goes through my entire life, and that's what I've created my business around. So I appreciate your time today, and I'm going to go get Jennifer. I hope to see you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. So I am going to go get Jennifer, and I'm going to mute her for a second. So thanks for being here on episode 2 of Relentless Talk Radio. Okay. And I'm going to go get Jennifer Sievers, and we're going to talk about Motorcycle Princess. This has been episode 77 of Relentless Talk Radio. All right, guys, have a good rest of your day, and tune right back in, because I'm going to be coming back with Jennifer.